lights low, camera on me, wave crash in the background. Welcome to the story, stay wavy with the jab TV, with the hook, every round heavy now. Better take a good look, ring bell, gloves up, hear the bass get loud.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Wavy, Stay Wavy TV. I just got done watching the press conference with Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, and the number one thing that I took away from this press conference is that Shakur Stevenson is underestimating just how good Teofimo Lopez is, right? So Teo Sr., like he always does, right, was talking a lot of shit during this press conference. But he did say a lot of things that was true. He brought up the fact that Shakur Stevenson somehow is on the top 10 pound for pound list when he hasn't fought anybody elite. Not at 130, not at 135. Like, think about it, guys. Who did Shakur beat at 130? Most people would say Jamel Herring, right? So Jamel Herring, right, is currently 40 years old. They fought about 4 years ago, which means that Jamel Herring was like 36 when he fought Shakur Stevenson, right? So are we really going to give Shakur credit for that win? Then he beat Oscar Valdez, who tested positive for PEDs before he fought Shakur Stevenson, right? He was undefeated at the time, but we already knew he was a cheater, right? Shakur Stevenson beats him by unanimous decision. Since then, he also lost 2 fights to Emmanuel Navarrete, right? So, I mean, who else on Shakur Stevenson's resume would you guys say is elite? He just beat a William Cepeda that struggled with Tevin Farmer. Remember, William Cepeda got dropped by Tevin Farmer, right? Other than that, like, when you think of Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, and Gervonta Tank Davis, I think everybody would agree that out of those 4 boxers that I just named, Shakur Stevenson has the worst resume. Shakur Stevenson is the most unproven boxer out of all 4 of those guys. The only reason why we talk about Shakur Stevenson so much, guys, is because of his affiliation with Terrence Bud Crawford. Let's be honest, right? Because he's always around Terrence Bud Crawford, we just assume that Shakur Stevenson is a great boxer. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Shakur Stevenson. I think Shakur Stevenson has the best defense in the sport of boxing. And I do think he is one of the best all-around skilled boxers. But at the end of the day, he has not proven himself yet. And you're moving up to a new weight class that you've never fought in against a guy that is clearly more athletic than you are. Not only is he more athletic than you, but Teofimo Lopez has great footwork. He's great at moving around the ring. He's a great all-around skilled boxer, and he can punch. Yeah, he hasn't really had any knockouts since he's moved up to 140. I think he's only had 1 knockout at 140. I think it was his first fight at 140. Yeah, he's only had 1 knockout. Yeah, he had the lackluster performance against Sandor Martin. Yeah, had a little bit of trouble with Jermaine Ortiz because Jermaine Ortiz was moving around the ring most of the fight. I get it. But at this point in time, Teofimo Lopez is the best boxer at 140. And he is more proven than Shakur Stevenson. He has a better resume than Shakur Stevenson. He's been in bigger fights with bigger competition than Shakur Stevenson. You can't name a Teofimo Lopez fight where he was running around the ring like a ballerina like Shakira Twitterson did against Edwin De Los Santos. The only thing you can say about Teo is he lost to George Kambosos. But did he get dominated against George Kambosos? No. He did get dropped by George Kambosos, which is crazy because, you know, George Kambosos isn't known to be a hard puncher, right? But Teo did get dropped by George Kambosos. But Teo got his lick back. He came back and dropped him. And George Kambosos only won by split decision. Now, I hate the fact that Teo never got that rematch against George Kambosos. But at the end of the day, when you look at what he's done since that loss, he's redeemed himself. He moved up to 140, beat the undisputed champ, Josh Taylor, cooked him, clearly beat him by unanimous decision, made it look easy, right? And he redeemed himself. But my whole thing is this, bro. If Shakur Stevenson, because I kept hearing Shakur Stevenson bring up Teo's fight with Lomachenko, right? Like, his way of trying to discredit Teo's win over Lomachenko is he said that Lomachenko wasn't throwing any punches the first 6 rounds. My response to that is why do you think he wasn't throwing that many punches the first 6 rounds? Maybe it was because he didn't want to get countered by Teo. Maybe he felt how hard Teo was punching him. Maybe it was a little bit of fear. But you can't, to bring up what Loma wasn't doing to try to diminish what Teo was doing, I think that's very facetious. At the end of the day, Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko, clearly. Beat him in a better fashion than my favorite boxer, Devin Haney, did. I got to give props and respect when it's due. Whether I like Teo or not, he beat Lomachenko. I saw that fight live on ESPN. That was actually my first time. No. I think the first Teo fight I saw was against Richard Comey, I think. But I saw the fight that he had with Loma live because it was on ESPN. All right, that was my first time. I think it was my first time seeing Teo fight. And, bro, Teo did a phenomenal job, bro. Found out he was from Florida like myself, from Broward, you know what I'm saying? And, that's when I started rocking with Teo at the time. You feel me? Teo did a great job against Lomachenko. Now, Lomachenko did start to come back in the second half of the fight. Just like what's crazy? The same thing he did with Teo, he did the same thing with Devin Haney. I had Devin Haney winning the first 7 rounds against Lomachenko. And then for rounds 8 to 12, I pretty much gave those rounds to Lomachenko. Same thing, I just think Loma did a better job of figuring Devin out, right? And even Devin said it himself in his corner to his dad, Bill. But, Devin was going to the bottom. Let's not get into Devin. Let's stay on Teo and Shakur. Let's not get into Devin, right? Teofimo Lopez, I think we're going to see the best version that we've ever seen of Teofimo Lopez against Shakur Stevenson. And it's funny because in this press conference today, Shakur Stevenson said something that made me realize that he really might lose to Teo. You know what he said? He said that the version of Teo that we saw against Lomachenko, he said that's the best version of Teo that we're ever going to see. And then Teo responded to Shakur and said that he's self-projecting. And I agree with Teo on that. You can't tell a man, how are you as a grown man, how are you telling another man that one of his performances is the best performance he's ever going to have? Last time I checked, my nigga, Teofimo Lopez is still in his prime. Last time I checked, Teofimo Lopez is only 28 years old, which means that he literally just hit his prime. His most recent performance against Arnold Barboza Jr., he had the best performance of the night. He was on the same card as Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia shit the bed. He got dropped by Rolly, lost. Devin Haney put on a very lackluster performance. Barely threw any punches, was running for 12 rounds, still won the fight, but it was a win in disgusting fashion. Teofimo Lopez had the best performance. He absolutely cooked Arnold Barboza. And Arnold Barboza at the time was undefeated. Arnold Barboza had been calling out Teo for years before he finally was able to get a fight with Teo. And Teo made Arnold Barboza look average. This is the same Arnold Barboza that beat Jack Catterall, beat Jose Ramirez, beat Jose Pedraza, right? Let's give credit when it's due. Arnold Barboza is a good fighter. Solid fighter, I'll say. I won't say good, but he's solid, right? I wouldn't say he's good, wouldn't say he's bad. I would say he's like right in the middle. You can call him mid or you can call him solid. Teo made him look average, man. Below average, if you want to be honest. Cooked him. Beat him by unanimous decision. Right? Shakur Stevenson in his most recent fight against William Cepeda, I would call it a masterclass, but he almost got dropped. Shakur Stevenson almost got dropped against William Cepeda. So if William Cepeda almost dropped Shakur Stevenson, and that was at 135. Shakur doesn't think that Teo could drop him for real or knock him out. Remember, Teo's been at 140 for years now. This is Shakur's first fight at 140, and Shakur is a small guy. This is the same Shakur Stevenson that said on Cigar Talk that he wouldn't fight Devin Haney at 147. Why? Because he knows Devin is a bigger dude. He's taller. He knows. It's just too much of a disadvantage for him. Right? So the reason why Shakur took this fight is because Teo's not a big dude, right? Him and Teo are pretty much the same size. The only difference is Teo is more stockier, right? And Shakur Stevenson said something that's very true. Muscles don't win fights. Just because Teofimo Lopez is more athletic and more muscular than Shakur doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to win the fight. Is it an advantage? Yes. But at the end of the day, one thing that I got to agree with Shakur with is Shakur is mentally tougher and mentally smarter in that ring than Teo is. We've seen mental weaknesses from Teofimo Lopez. We've seen it when he lost to George Kambosos. We've seen it when he fought Sandor Martin, where he questioned, does he still got it? Right? We even seen it against Steve Claggett. He beat Steve Claggett, but he was getting touched up in that fight. Both of his eyes had titty bags under them. You know what I'm saying? And I think the biggest problem for Teo in this fight with Shakur is Teo gets hit way too much. Teofimo Lopez gets hit way too much. I think Teo's defense since he's moved up to 140 has been atrocious. Even when he beat Josh Taylor, go look at his face after the fight. Teo gets hit a lot, guys. He gets hit a lot. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered in this fight between Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur Stevenson is smart because when he says him and Teo are the same size, he's not lying. Him and Teo are both 5'8". Shakur Stevenson has a 68-inch reach. And guess what? Teofimo Lopez has a 68.5-inch reach. So these guys are damn near the same size and the same length. Pause. Shout out to Cam and Mace. But this is a very smart choice for Shakur to make this his next opponent, because if Shakur does indeed get past the Teofimo Lopez, this would be the best win on his resume. This would be the first elite boxer on his resume. And this would solidify Shakur Stevenson as a top 10 pound for pound fighter in the world. I think it would put him at I'd say 6 or 7. Definitely not above Devin Haney, but it'll definitely put him around the same rank as a Devin Haney on the pound for pound list for sure. But yeah, man, I have a bad feeling that Shakur Stevenson is underestimating Teofimo Lopez. This isn't a Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. situation where, Devin Haney fought against a dude that's flat-footed that basically is an African-American Danny Garcia. I kept telling, what's crazy? I kept telling people that Brian Norman Jr. fights just like Danny Garcia, and everybody kept saying, oh no, Brian Norman Jr. has good footwork, he punches harder. Okay, well, what happened when he fought Dev? Got his ass dropped, couldn't move around the ring. You know what I'm saying? I told you guys, but this isn't going to be a Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. situation. Teofimo Lopez is very skilled, bro. He actually has the boxing style of a slick black boxer. You know what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez, he doesn't have a typical, I don't want to say Hispanic, because he doesn't have a Mexican boxing style where he just stands in the middle of the ring and just slugs it out for 12 rounds. He has more of a African-American boxing style, kind of a little bit mixed with a Cuban boxing style as well. Great footwork, great counter puncher. You know what I'm saying? Not the best defense, but just great at moving around the ring and landing on his opponents. And, Shakur Stevenson has to understand, bro, that when Teo fights up to his competition, that's when you see the best version of Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is aware that this is a make or break moment for his boxing career. He already has the loss to George Kambosos. Teofimo Lopez knows that if he loses this fight, it's over. When I say over, I don't mean his boxing career is over, but him being known as a pound for pound boxer, him being known as one of the top guys, like, that's going to be gone. That's going to be taken away from him. But at the same time, I think Shakur Stevenson has more to lose in this fight. Because guess what? Teofimo Lopez already has a loss on his record. Shakur Stevenson is the one that's undefeated. Shakur Stevenson is the one that doesn't have any losses or draws on his record. Shakur Stevenson is the one that has the Edwin De Los Santos performance that people still talk about to this day. And Shakur Stevenson has never fought a boxer on the level of a Shakur Stevenson. Teofimo Lopez has already fought a fighter on the level of a Shakur Stevenson. He fought Lomachenko. He fought Josh Taylor. Even though I do think Josh Taylor is overrated, but you still can't take away from the fact that Josh Taylor was undisputed at 140. You can't take that away from him. So, listen. I am picking Shakur Stevenson to win this fight by majority decision. But I'm telling you, if Shakur Stevenson is really going into this fight thinking that he's going to beat Teo based off of Teo's bad fights against Sandor and all that, he's in for a rude awakening, bro. And I can see Teofimo Lopez dropping Shakur Stevenson. And I can see Teofimo Lopez beating Shakur Stevenson by majority or split decision. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. So, Shakur, if you're listening to this video, don't underestimate Teofimo Lopez, bro. I'm telling you, you will lose. You go into this fight underestimating this man in any way, you will lose this fight. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt of you being smarter than that. I think you've shown too much skill in that ring for me to, think that you would do that. So with that being said, man, it's your boy Wavy, Stay Wavy TV. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video. Let me know what you guys thought about the press conference. I'm out.
Stay Wavy signing out. Ride the tide, no doubt. From the rooftop glow to the neon cloud. You tapped in, so I gotta say love. Like, subscribe, keep the motion above. Until the next wave, we out. Peace.